The burning sky and the baby in her arms, the sky was not blue anymore. It was red, filled with smoke and fire. Giant warships flew above, dropping bombs on the alien city. Buildings fell. Roads cracked. Screams filled the air. It was not a normal day. It was the end of everything. In the middle of the burning streets, a young alien mother ran. Her body was weak. Her arms shook, but she did not stop. In her hands, she held her baby close to her chest. The baby was small and glowing, her skin soft and warm. She was all the mother had left in this world. Soldiers chased them. Loud boots, heavy weapons, cruel voices. The mother turned left, then right, trying to hide. Her breathing was hard now. Her side was bleeding, but she did not care about her pain. She only looked at her baby. She kissed the baby's forehead and whispered, "You will live." She reached the edge of the city. There were no more buildings now, only broken land, broken metal, and fire. The mother fell to her knees. Her strength was gone. Her eyes filled with tears. She knew she had only minutes left. Then, she saw someone. A man, not one of her kind. He was a human. He stood tall and confused, clearly not part of the war. His clothes were dusty. His face was tired. But his eyes were full of something she hadn't seen in a long time. Kindness. He stepped forward slowly. He saw her holding the baby and bleeding. He raised his hands, showing he had no weapon. He didn't speak. He just looked into her eyes. She didn't know if she could trust him, but she had no choice. She looked at her baby one last time. Then she looked at the man. "Take my child," she said in a weak voice, "and run." The man looked shocked. "What? Please," she begged. "They will come. They will take her. You must run." She stood and pushed the baby into his arms. The man stepped back, holding the small child with wide eyes. The baby looked up at him, calm and quiet, as if she already knew him. The mother touched the baby's head once more. "Her name is Alira," she whispered. "Keep her safe." Suddenly, the sound of enemy soldiers grew louder. They were close. Now, the mother turned to face them, standing between danger and the man. She looked over her shoulder one last time and said, "Run." The man did not think anymore. He held the baby close and started running. His legs moved fast. His heart beat faster. Behind him, he heard sounds of shouting, weapons firing, and then silence. He did not look back. The baby in his arms stayed quiet. She was not scared. She was warm and light, like a small sun. The man ran until his legs ached. He didn't stop. Not when the ground shook. Not when strange animals howled. He only stopped when the sky turned dark and he could not hear the soldiers anymore. He found a cave and sat inside. He looked at the child in his arms. Her glowing eyes looked up at him. She was not crying. She smiled. The man did not know what to do. He was not a father. He was just a traveler, someone who had lost his own people. He never thought he would hold a baby like this, an alien baby. But something inside him changed at that moment. He whispered, "Alira." The baby smiled again, as if she heard her name. The man looked at the cave entrance. He knew the soldiers would search for them. He knew he couldn't stay in one place for long. He had to move, hide, protect. That he had made a promise without speaking it. He would keep this child safe. He didn't know why. Maybe it was the way the mother looked at him. Maybe it was the baby's smile. Or maybe it was the way she felt in his arms. Like hope. The next day, he woke up with a plan. He would find a place far from war. A place where no one could find them. A place where this child could grow. He didn't care how long it took or how hard it would be. That he stood up and held Alira close. "I don't know who you are," he said softly, "but I will protect you." And with that, the man walked away from the world he knew, carrying a child that did not belong to him, but somehow already felt like family. That he did not know what waited ahead. But he knew this. The sky may have burned, the city may have fallen, but as long as the child lived, there was still something worth saving. And so, their story began. The hidden valley and a new beginning. The human walked for days, holding the baby close. His legs hurt. His back ached. But he did not stop. He crossed broken roads, climbed hills, and waded through cold rivers. He stayed away from cities, from machines, from all eyes. He did not want anyone to see the baby. He had no name, no home, but he had her. That was enough. He reached a deep valley hidden between sharp mountains. No ships flew over it. No roads led to it. It was quiet, peaceful, a place forgotten by war. The valley was green, with wild fruit trees and clean water. Birds sang here. It felt safe. The man looked around and thought, this is the place. He built a small shelter with his hands. It wasn't much, but it kept them warm. He laid the baby down on a soft cloth and looked at her glowing face. She was not human. Her skin had soft markings that shimmered in the moonlight. Her hair was silvery blue. Her fingers were long and thin. Yet, she felt like his own child. He had never loved anything more that he called her by the name her mother gave, Elira. Years passed slowly in the valley. Elira grew little by little. She began to crawl, then walk, then run. She laughed when birds flew near and clapped when butterflies landed on her hands. She did not speak like a human child. Her words came late, but her eyes said everything. And when she finally said, "Dad," the man cried. He taught her to plant seeds. He showed her how to make fire with stones. He read old books to her and taught her to write letters in the dirt. Elira learned fast. She was curious and clever. She listened with wide eyes when he told stories of stars and ships. But she didn't ask where she came from. Not yet. Strange things began to happen. Point one day, Elira touched a sick bird. The bird stood up and flew away, healed. Another day, she walked into the river, and fish swam to her feet, calm and still. Grass grew faster where she stepped. The human watched these things in silence. He had seen many races in the galaxy, but never one like her. That he began to wonder what was inside her. Not just blood, but power, and he knew, deep down, that someone, somewhere, would come looking for her one day. Maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, the past would knock at their door. So, he prepared. He built deeper hiding places. He trained her to stay silent when danger came. He showed her how to run through the forest without leaving tracks. At night, when she slept, he kept watch with old tools and an old gun. He had only one thought: no one will take her. But even with fear in his heart, the days were beautiful. Elira sang while she worked in the garden. She drew pictures of stars with her finger in the dust. She danced in the rain. She didn't need toys. She had the trees, the sky, and her father. Point one evening, as the sun went down, Elira sat beside him. Her glowing eyes stared at the sky. "Where do I come from?" she asked. The human paused. He had waited for this moment. He looked at her gently. "You came from a brave woman," he said. "She gave you to me when the world was on fire." "Why?" Elira asked. "Because she loved you," he answered. "She wanted you to live." Elira was quiet. "Was she like me?" "Yes," the man said. "And strong. Stronger than anyone I've known." "Do you miss her?" she whispered. That he nodded. "Every day." Elira placed her small hand on his. "I'm glad you took me." He smiled. "So am I." But even as they shared this quiet moment, far beyond the valley, the stars were shifting. Across the galaxy, someone was watching. Someone was searching. An old signal had finally been heard. A voice from the past. A record of the mother's final request. And now, they knew where to look. Back in the valley, the wind blew gently through the trees. The girl laughed as fireflies danced around her. The man sat by the fire, sharpening old tools. He felt peace. But deep inside, a question grew louder. How long could this peace last? Because if someone powerful came for her, he would fight. Not because she was alien. Not because of her powers. But because she was his daughter, and he was her father, chosen not by blood, but by love. Asterisk, the secret she carried in her blood. The human had always known Elira was different. From the moment she smiled in his arms, there was something inside her, something powerful, something ancient. But now, as she grew older, the truth was no longer quiet. It was starting to shine through everything she touched. It began with the garden. Elira didn't plant seeds like other children. She spoke softly to the earth, and flowers bloomed the next day. Vines wrapped around her arms without harming her. Trees bent their branches to offer her fruit. The man watched with quiet amazement. He never told her she was strange. To him, she was simply Elira, but others would not see her the same way. Point one morning, she found a deer caught in wire. Its leg was broken. She bent down and cried softly. As her tears fell onto the deer's wound, the cut sealed before his eyes. The deer stood, healthy again, and gently brushed its nose against her cheek before running off. The man stood frozen. He had seen healing machines before, but Elira needed no tools, just her hands. just her heart. He began writing things down. When she touched the plants, when animals responded to her, when her skin glowed more than usual. Her powers were growing stronger each season, and he didn't know if she even understood how rare she was. Then came the night sky point one evening. Elira lay on the grass and pointed at the stars. "Do you hear them?" she asked. "Hear what?" the man replied. "The stars," she said softly. "They hum when they're sad." The human felt a chill. It wasn't the words, it was the way she said them. Calm, certain, calm, certain, as if she had heard stars all her life. That night, he could not sleep. He knew what this meant. She had not only survived her mother's sacrifice, she had inherited something powerful, something the galaxy would want, something people would kill for. And then, it happened that a strange noise filled the valley one night. A sound not made by wind or forest. A sharp buzz, almost like a distant hum from the sky. The man rushed out with a flashlight. He saw nothing, but he felt something. A tremble in the ground. A vibration in the air. The next morning, he found a strange symbol burned into the grass. A shape he didn't understand. Elira stood beside it, her eyes wide. "They're looking for me," she whispered. He stared at her. "How do you know?" "I don't know how. I just do." The human didn't ask more. He packed a bag that same day, food, water, a blanket, and the old weapon he had carried during the war. He didn't tell Elira why, but she saw it in his eyes, feared. He started to train. He showed her how to stay quiet, how to listen for danger, how to read signs in nature. She obeyed without question. She wasn't scared. She trusted him. She always had. But one day, she asked, "Will they hurt you to get me?" He looked into her glowing eyes. "They won't get either of us." Still, Elira had questions of her own. "What am I, Dad? Why am I like this?" The human sat down beside her and took a breath. "You carry something powerful inside you. Something your mother gave you. Not all aliens are like you. You're special." Elira was silent. Then she asked, "Is that why she gave me to you?" "Yes," he said. "She wanted you safe. She knew others would come. And she knew I would never let them take you." She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I'm not afraid." He smiled sadly. "I wish I could say the same." That night, the stars above the valley felt colder. Something was coming. The air was heavier. Even the birds didn't sing. The next day, the man took Elira to the farthest part of the valley, the cave behind the waterfall. "If anything happens," he told her, "you come here. You wait for me." "But I want to stay with you," she said. "You will. But if I tell you to run, promise me you will." She nodded. Slowly. The human had been alone for many years before her. Now, the thought of losing her broke something deep inside him. She wasn't just a child he rescued. She was his world. And out there, in the vast galaxy, someone had finally felt the power in her blood that it was only a matter of time before they came. Asterisk, a visitor from the past far away, across the stars, inside. A dark medical chamber. A pair of glowing eyes slowly opened. For years, her body had been frozen between life and death. Her skin, once burned and broken, was now healing. Machines had kept her alive. But it was not the machines that brought her back. It was her memory. Her child, the alien mother, gasped for air as the healing pod opened. Her fingers trembled as she touched her chest. She remembered the war. She remembered the smoke, the blood, the pain. But most of all, she remembered handing her baby to a human stranger. A human with kind eyes. Her last words had been clear. "Take my child and run." She had not died. She had survived. The people who found her thought she was beyond saving. But her body had strong blood, royal blood. Energy moved through her. Veins like light. Slowly she healed. And now, after all this time, she had only one thought. Where is my daughter? The galaxy had changed while she slept. New leaders had taken power. Borders had shifted. But no one spoke of her child. No. One remembered the baby. It was like she had vanished. But a mother never forgets. She began searching. First through records, then through memory, then through the stars. She had no ship of her own, but she found those who owed her favors. Old soldiers, forgotten rebels, hidden outlaws. She whispered only one sentence to each of them. "Find the human who saved my child." Some said it was impossible, that the man was likely dead, that the girl, if she even lived, would be grown by now. But the mother's voice never shook. "She is alive," she said. "I would know if she were not." One day, A signal reached her. It was old, weak, buried deep inside a forgotten satellite. It held only a few words, sent years ago. It was the emergency distress call she had made during the war, the moment before she gave up her child. Someone had found it and reactivated the signal. That meant something. Someone had kept that moment alive. Her hope turned into fire. She repaired an old ship, took no guards, and left alone. She followed the signal, followed the space dust, followed her mother's instinct. She passed through dead zones and black holes. Time meant nothing. She had already lost too much of it. Last. Her ship arrived above a hidden green world. The planet had no name. It was not on any map. But as she looked down, her heart beat faster. She felt something. A pull. It was her child on the planet's surface. The man felt the sky change. The air grew warmer. The birds flew low. Even the trees stood still. He stepped outside and saw the light above. An alien ship, small but strong, descending without a sound. Alira came running. What is that? He didn't answer. He reached for the small knife he always kept near. He didn't know who was coming. He only knew he would not let them take her. The ship landed slowly. The door opened. And then she stepped out. The alien mother stood tall and proud. Her armor shimmered. Her long white hair blew in the wind. Her face carried years of pain, but also purpose. She walked with strength. Not like a soldier, not like a queen, but like a mother. Alira stared at the woman. Something inside her moved. Her fingers shook. Her eyes blinked fast. I know her, she whispered. The man stepped in front of her. Stay behind me, he said, but the woman did not draw a weapon. She only looked at Alira and said her name. Her true name, Alirathea. The girl's breath caught in her throat. The human turned to her. Is that? I think she's my mother, Alira whispered. The woman took a step forward, her voice breaking. You were just a baby. I didn't even get to say goodbye. The man looked from her to Alira, the child he had raised, the mother who had returned. And for the first time, he didn't know what to do. Alira stepped out from behind him. Why did you leave me? She asked. The woman knelt down. To save you. Tears rolled down her cheeks. And now I've come back to bring you home. But the word home felt heavy. Because Alira already had one. And now, she had two people who claimed her. One by blood, one by love. And far above them, in the shadows of space, another ship waited. Watching, waiting. Someone else had also heard the signal, and they were not coming for a family reunion. The day the sky opened again, the air was calm, but the man could feel something was wrong. For weeks, the valley had been quiet. Alira and her mother spent their days talking, walking through the fields, and learning each other's stories. The human watched from a distance, unsure where he belonged now. He had raised Alira, fed her, taught her how to live. But her real mother had returned, and she had powers, memories, and a blood connection he could never give. Still, Alira never pushed him away. She sat with him every evening by the fire. She asked him about old stories, laughed at his jokes, and leaned her head on his shoulder. But the man saw the question in her eyes. Which life do I choose? One morning, the sky turned white. It wasn't clouds, it wasn't light, it was something else. The man ran outside. Alira and her mother followed. Above them, the clouds were spinning. And then, with a sudden flash, a massive alien ship appeared. It didn't make a sound. It just floated, huge, black, and shaped like a blade. The alien mother's face turned pale. She whispered, "They've found us." The man's heart dropped. "Who are they?" "They're from my past," she said. "They were once allies. Now they are hunters." The ship opened slowly, and 3 smaller crafts flew down. They moved like shadows, fast and smooth. The human grabbed his old weapon. The mother raised her hand, and energy began to glow around her fingers. Alira stood frozen between them, eyes wide. The crafts landed. Out came beings in black armor, tall and silent. Their eyes were cold, like glass. One of them stepped forward. "We've come for the child," he said. The man stood firm. "She's not going anywhere." The leader looked at the alien mother. "She carries the gift, the bloodline. She belongs with us. She is not yours to take." The mother said, "She is not yours to hide." He replied. Alira stepped forward, her voice shaking. "Why do you want me?" The alien replied, "Because inside you is the light seed, a power lost for ages. If You unlock it, you will become what our people have waited for. But we must control it. If it awakens on its own, the galaxy will burn. The man shook his head. You don't care about her. You care about using her. The soldiers raised their weapons. We will not ask again. Elira closed her eyes. Suddenly, the ground shook. The wind roared. The trees bent away from her. Light poured from her body. Not fire, not heat, but pure energy. It flowed around her like waves. The soldiers stepped back in fear. She's awakening. One of them whispered. The mother moved to protect her, but Elira raised her hand. No, she said softly. I'm not afraid. The light grew brighter. The man shielded his eyes. The ship above shook. The alien soldiers dropped their weapons and fell to their knees. Then, just as fast as it began, the light disappeared. Elira fell to her knees. The man caught her before she hit the ground. Her body was warm, her eyes glowing. The alien soldiers did not move. Their leader looked at her in awe. It is true, he whispered. She is the one. The mother stepped forward. You saw what she is. She is not your weapon. She is her own. The leader looked at Elira again, then turned to his soldiers. We will leave for now. They climbed back into their ships. The sky closed above them. Silence returned, but nothing felt the same. Later that night, the human sat beside Elira. She was tired, but smiling. I felt something, she said. Not just power. I felt both of you. He looked at her with soft eyes. You saved us. She smiled. You saved me first. The alien mother sat beside them, her voice low. There will be more. Others who want to use you. I know, Elira replied. But now I'm ready. The man nodded. And you won't face them alone. Elira held both their hands. Not choosing between you, she said. You're both my family. In the quiet valley, under the stars, a child with ancient power had made her first choice. Not to run, not to hide, but to stand, and everything changed. Asterisk enemies in the shadows. The valley felt colder. Even though the sun still rose and the river still flowed, the peace was gone. Elira had awakened her power, and now the galaxy would not forget. The strange ship had left, but the fear had stayed behind. The man knew what that meant. Someone was watching. Somewhere in the dark, enemies were planning. He began to prepare again. He sharpened his old tools, set new traps, and hid supplies in different places. He didn't say much, but his eyes said everything. Elira understood. She practiced too, breathing, focusing, trying to control the strange light inside her. Her mother trained her as well, showing her how to protect, not destroy. But none of them spoke about what they all feared most. That someone worse was coming. And they were right. Far beyond the valley, in a dead zone of space, a warlord sat in a black throne. His eyes were red. His body was covered in scars. He had been hunting the light seed for years. He wanted its power, not to protect the galaxy, but to rule it. He didn't care who got in his way. When he heard the news of a glowing child, part human, part royal alien, he smiled. He sent ships. Quiet ones. Dark ones. Not like before. These didn't come to talk. These came to take. Back on the green planet, the sky cracked again. But this time, there was no warning. Explosions shook the valley. The man grabbed Elira and ran. Her mother threw up a shield of light, blocking the blasts. 3 shadow ships landed fast, and dark soldiers poured out. Their eyes glowed with hunger. They had one order: bring the girl. The mother fought like lightning. Her hands burned with white fire. She knocked soldiers back with waves of energy. But they kept coming. The human fought beside her, using old tricks and fast strikes. He moved like he had done this before, and he had. Elira stood in the middle, scared, but not running. She closed her eyes and whispered to herself, I am not a weapon. I am not weak. I am more. A soldier reached for her. He never touched her. Light exploded from Elira again, stronger, faster, brighter than ever. It hit the ground, shook the trees, and threw the soldiers back like leaves in a storm. Her eyes glowed gold. Her voice echoed without sound. She had not just awakened her power. She had become it. The shadow soldiers fell. One ship broke into fire. The others retreated fast. The warlord watching from space was not smiling now. Back on the ground, the man held Elira as she fell forward, weak and shaking. Her mother stood beside them, wounded but alive. The human looked around at the burning wrecks, at the still air, and the wide sky above. They'll come again, he said. Yes, the mother agreed. And stronger. We have to leave, the man said. The valley is not safe anymore. Elira opened her eyes. Where will we go? The mother touched her hand. To the stars. To where our people once lived. They may still be hiding. And if they are, they need to see what you've become. The man looked down the path he had walked years ago with a tiny baby in his arms. I ran with her once, he said. Now we run together. Elira nodded. Not to hide, but to fight. And so they packed. The valley that had kept them safe for so long was now behind them. The girl who once played in its fields had become something more. Hope, power, and danger all in one. Her light was growing. Her name would spread. Enemies in the shadows would follow. But this time, they wouldn't find a child. They'd find a force. And they would learn. No one takes her without a war. The family they became, the stars looked different now. They were not just lights in the sky. They were paths, roads, signs of where to go next. Elira sat beside the human as their small ship floated through space. Her mother stood near the controls, quiet and watchful. The old valley was behind them, left in smoke and fire. But something stronger had come with them, a bond, not made by blood, not made by war, but by love, choice, and years of trust. Elira looked out the window. Do you think more enemies are coming? The man nodded. Always. But this time, she said with a smile, they'll find us ready. Her mother turned, pride in her eyes. You held back your power for so long. Now you know what you truly are. I'm not just power, Elira said. I'm your daughter. And I'm his. The man's eyes softened. There were still questions in their journey. Where were the rest of her mother's people? Would they accept a child raised by a human? Would they protect her or fear her? The galaxy was full of unknowns. But the human had faced worse before. Alone. Now he wasn't alone. They arrived at a hidden moon, a place whispered about in old alien stories. A place where survivors of the royal bloodline had gone into hiding after the war. It was cold, with silver mountains and quiet lights. When they landed, a group of aliens stood waiting, tall, silent, armed. They looked at Elira and then at her mother. You returned, one of them said. The mother nodded. And I brought what? We lost. The aliens stared at Elira. Her eyes glowed just slightly. She stepped forward and spoke without fear. I carry your blood, but I carry his love too. I am both. There was silence. Then one elder stepped forward, placed his hand on her head, and said, You are the bridge. That night, the three of them stayed in a small stone room under the stars. The mother told stories of her home before war, of songs that were never sung again. The man shared tales of earth, of growing food with bare hands and reading books by firelight. Elira listened, eyes wide, heart full. I want to keep both worlds, she said. I want to protect what I have and who I am. You will, her mother said. You already are. You'll stay with me, right? Elira asked the human. He smiled gently. Always. I promised your mother, your first mother, that I'd protect you. But now, you don't need protecting. You just need someone to walk beside you. And I choose both of you, she said. In a galaxy full of empires and warships. It wasn't weapons that saved Elira. It was a man who said yes to a child. It was a mother who fought her way back through death. And it was a girl who decided that family wasn't only where you came from, but who stayed with you when the sky burned and the world turned against you. Together, they were not just survivors, they were home. And as the stars watched quietly, the light inside Elira grew brighter. Still,